This is a day 24 update on the protests in Iran. Of course, the biggest news in the last couple of days has been the hack of the national television service, which was done during a live broadcast from the Supreme Leader. In retaliation for this, the hackers have also sent out a mass text message, as did the government. The government was not very effective in doing it, but the mass text messages on both sides were either to continue or to attempt to deter people from protesting. At this point, it's believed that almost every school and educational institution in the country has joined in on the protests as well. The government's response has been to attempt to close schools throughout the entire nation. Schools are retaliating by either switching to online or encouraging their students to come in and protest, regardless of the government's opinion on that. Additionally, there's been an outbreak of fires throughout the nation as protesters are believed to now be using Molotovs against the police. The police, however, have also been issued prior to this permission to use live ammunition in almost every city and province in the nation. There's no evidence or reports of any city that is not doing this. Despite the massive toll that this is continuing to take on the protesters are still growing. The strain on their economy is massive. And that's because there is now essentially a general economic strike in place against the government. Tragically, one of the bad pieces of news of the week is that despite over 50 years of U.S. policy of not negotiating with terrorists, there is solid evidence to show that the U.S. did in fact release $7 billion into the Iranian government's hands in order to negotiate for the hostages. That is definitely bad. It also appears that the government here may be essentially trying to edit or censor the news, as media coverage has died down to virtually nothing in the United States. Most other European nations and other stations globally are still doing some kind of news coverage, but in the U.S. this is functionally gone at this point, so it's very important that we continue to share information, as it really is not coming out of the United States anymore. Other interesting news, of course, is the fountains in Tehran near one of the universities were dyed blood red by an unknown artist in order to symbolize how much blood has been spilt during these protests. Additionally, students were seen dyeing their hands red and chanting similar things with the same purpose as well. Additionally, many university doors in the universities that were raided were also shown to have blood painted onto the doors, stating that our blood was spilt here. On top of that, there is quite a bit of footage coming out as well showing that the police were lethal when taking quite a few of the students from the buildings. They claim that to be releasing them, but there's no indication that very many, or if any, have been released from any of these universities where they were taken. The use of live ammunition has been heavily used throughout the nation at this point and continues to be used in all provinces. Again, these are kind of the big news reports of the day. There's still a lot going on. A police command center was actually burned down in one of the towns as well when the police were overrun. So like I said, there's a lot going on. I apologize for not doing this for the last couple days, but it's important that we continue to share and get the news out there, because the U.S. government will not help.